was meant to be a moment of silence, a solemn day to remember the fallen. But Kenya is not silent anymore. 25th of June 2025, the memorial of a revolution, a day that was supposed to honor those who died in the 2024 protests, instead became a fierce reminder that the fight is far from over. Because in a country where the cries of the young echo louder than government promises, remembrance becomes resistance, and mourning turns to movement. This is not just about taxes, not just about politics. This is a generation reclaiming a future stolen by silence. This is the Gen Z revolution, and this fire never died. 1 year ago, exactly the 25th of June 2024, the streets of Nairobi trembled under the weight of thousands of marching feet. In June 2024, Kenya's youth rose against a brutal financial bill, shocking taxes, and unchecked police force. What started as a protest became a battlefield. What began as demands became eulogies. Dozens injured, lives lost, and names turned to hashtags. It was a historic moment, but it wasn't the end. It was the opening chapter of a revolution that has since refused to sleep. June 25th, 2025, the first anniversary, a day chosen to remember those who had bled for a better Kenya. But the country had given its youths more to remember: more blood, more betrayal, more brutality. This memorial did not just stand alone. It was stained by fresh grief, fresh injustice. The people gathered not just to honor the past, they came with new wounds, still bleeding. This year, before the candles could even be lit, new names had already been added to the list of the fallen. Albert Omondi Ojwang, a fearless digital voice, was arrested by authorities and died in police custody. A blogger, a critic, a truth seeker, silenced. And then came the abductions. Activists and influencers vanishing from their homes and neighborhoods, picked up by unmarked cars in the dark, their only crime being critique and dissent. But one incident shook the soul of the nation. Boniface Mwangi Karaoke, a young man simply trying to survive, was shot in broad daylight while selling masks to protesters in the Nairobi CBD. Not rioting, not looting, just hustling to feed himself. He was shot and left for dead. Days later, his body lying still in hospital, he was declared brain dead. And on June 30th, 2025, at 3:15 p.m., his family spokesperson broke the news to us. Boniface was gone. What began as a remembrance turned into revolution again. Kenyans youths flooded the streets, not just to mourn, but to demand, to remind those in power, we are still here and we are still angry. Thika Road, Jogo Road, Mombasa Road, Kiambu Road, from the slums to the suburbs, the youths walked for hours, for kilometers, for one specific goal: to reach the CBD. Their message was loud, unshakable, and united. Ruto must go. One term, occupy State House. It wasn't just about Albert or Boniface. It was about every broken promise, every empty stomach, every bullet fired at hope. The government definitely responded the only way it knows how, with force. Tear gas, water cannons, rubber bullets, real ones too. But the people didn't back down. As chaos erupted, sculptures from Uhuru Park were dragged into the road, symbols of a peaceful Kenya now thrown into the storm. Businesses were looted, supermarkets destroyed by alleged goons. Police officers once feared, were overpowered and assaulted in some areas. The rage was uncontainable. Women were raped. 6 deaths confirmed. Scores injured. This was no longer a protest, it was a reckoning. Even politicians showed up, not to lead, but to be seen, because the real leaders were already in the crowd, and the real movement had already begun. In a nation where voices are often traded for votes, Gen Zs chose to scream, to cry, to fight. This isn't just politics. This is survival. This is personal. They organize on timelines. They protest in hashtags. They mourn with memes. But don't mistake them for weak. This is Kenya's Gen Z, and they're not waiting for their turn. They are taking it. This is the fire that won't die. This is the revolution that will not rest. This is Kenya, reimagined and reborn. Reporting for 8K TV.